Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be another set of DC Comics New 52 reviews. Starting us off, we're going to be looking at Supergirl number 5. This issue picks up with Kara just after having left the menacing Tycho's orbiting satellite at the end of the previous issue. This is likely the beginning of a new arc. She's got the Kryptonian Sunstone crystal, and she's tracing the path of its origin through space, and we become aware via some word balloons that something or someone is following her. She's still not entirely familiar with her powers, and is at first dumbstruck and soon panicked at her ability to hold her breath for an incredible amount of time in the blackness of space, to the point where she actually has to remind herself not to exhale. She's also afraid her powers could cease at any minute, and has to keep chiding herself from thinking it. Just as she begins to realize it'll take her eons to make any headway back to Krypton, the Sunstone erupts with energy, and she stumbles onto a space gate of sorts. Uncertain whether this is some kind of trap or an invention of her father's, she begs Rao to preserve her as she flies through it. Once through, the patterns of the surrounding stars have changed, and Kara realizes the Sunstone is now guiding her toward a strange asteroid orbiting a small blue star. But she soon realizes the asteroid is really Argo City, the place she only yesterday knew as home. The city is in virtual ruin, and there's not a soul to be found within it. But Kara eagerly traces her way back to her parents' home, and notes as she enters and looks around that it seems like it was abandoned a long time ago. She wonders if any of her people, her family, her friends, might have gotten away in a similar fashion to her, in some kind of escape pod. She makes her way to her father's laboratory, where the Sunstone begins to glow again. She finds a control matrix, hoping to unlock whatever secrets the crystal possesses, in spite of its being cracked, and a hologram of her father appears. He tells her if she's watching the message, his greatest hope, her survival, has been fulfilled. That as a consequence of the stasis she was encased in inside the pod, her memory may have been affected, and this explains a lot up to now. But that Krypton, as her cousin, the now fully grown Kal-El, had told her in a previous issue, is gone. Her father goes on to explain it was he who conceived of a way to preserve Argo City, and with the help of machines an atmosphere could be maintained, the hope being that the city's residents would soon find another habitable world on which to live. He says he hopes that he's already been able to welcome her to whatever new world they've colonized, but tells her if not, the memory of her city, her world, and her family must live on within her. But then suddenly her father's interrupted by someone unseen. He's struck by a beam of energy, and Kara can only watch in horror as the recording plays out her father's untimely demise. The Sunstone crumbles shortly thereafter into ash just as Kara's ire is set to explode. She drops to her knees, crying out in more of a scream than a sob, and then she flies out of the building, smashing through the walls and striking anything in her path in quite a fit of rage. Her rage is only then briefly paused when a voice applauds her efforts to let the universe bear witness to her grief, and we finally meet the pearl-skinned, red-haired alien woman from the cover who introduces herself as Rain and promises to give Kara a new life. Kara lunges at her, certain that she was behind whatever happened to Argo City, but Rain tells her whatever happened was not in her own hand, and that she too is seeking answers. She implies she knows Kara is not the only Kryptonian that has survived, but Kara lunges at her again before she can say anything more. Rain catches her by the fist and tosses her to the ground, noting that somehow Kara's powers are lessening, perhaps as a consequence of being so far away from a yellow sun. She asks Kara if she knows anything about the World Killers, and Kara explains that they were weapons once outlawed on Krypton eons ago, that they were also deemed too dangerous to exist. In response to this, Rain almost mockingly wonders aloud what Kara's father must have thought about that, and this causes Kara to leap at her again, this time throwing Rain to the ground. Rain uses the butt of her sword to strike Kara's chin, stunning her. Now standing over Kara, Rain slices the sword toward her, but Kara catches the blade and shatters it with her bare hand. This only stokes Rain's rage as she picks up Kara and beats her repeatedly, all the while revealing to her just what the World Killers really are, which I won't spoil for you here. And as the issue comes to an end, Rain has cleaved the remainder of her sword through Kara's cape, hanging her beaten body from a wall amongst the city's ruins. And before taking off, her final words are almost a dare toward Kara to try to make it out of there alive, as the city's orbit around the blue star is soon to decay. And I'll leave it there. As for showing a page in the issue, there were really quite a few I wanted to go with, because the art in this book is just beautiful. But the one I chose is the 2-page spread shortly after witnessing her father's death in the hologram when she just loses it. Such a powerful depiction, as there are no words or thoughts, it's just visceral emotions, and it's a really heavy, heavy scene. And as for rating this book, I'm giving it a 4.5 out of 5. It was definitely a stellar book. I love following Kara in her trying to figure out her place in the world, what has happened up to now, and, I'm excited to see where this goes. So that'll be moving us on to Wonder Woman number 5. This issue basically begins with these two guys piloting a barge on the River Thames, and they stumble across this sort of half-fish, half-horse thing floating in the water, which is actually a signal of things to come later in the issue. But then we finally catch up with Diana, Zola, and Hermes, who are having breakfast at an outdoor cafe, and there's some dialogue about how Diana's wanting them to stay behind if she goes to confront Hera, to keep them out of danger. Their sit-down is interrupted by this cat calling himself Lennox, who claims to be another child of Zeus. And though the trio are taken aback by this at first, he ends up convincing Hermes to tag along with him to face another god of sorts, while he sends Diana and Zola to a bridge overlooking the Thames. There's some great dialogue here between them, really giving strength to the sort of bond they've grown since they met in issue number 1, as well as some flashbacks giving a little more depth to Lennox, who apparently found out about his origins during World War II. This is all then interrupted by Lord Poseidon, who makes his debut coming up out of the river, heralded by these sort of fish-horse hybrids as we saw at the beginning of the issue. He's looking kind of like a behemoth, bullfrog, catfish, squid kind of mix, which at first was a little bit much for me. But this actually coincides with Lennox being attacked by the guard dog of sorts of the god he's gone to see, which turns out to be Cerberus. Let me just say, Cerberus looks badass, and frankly the fact that he was positioned in the story at this moment kind of makes the ridiculous look of Poseidon a lot more palatable to me. As the issue comes to a close, Diana has gone into full-on Wonder Woman mode and confronts Poseidon, who makes his intentions to take Zeus's place as the ruling god known just before Wonder Woman turns the tables by suggesting someone else has already staked that claim, and I'll leave it there. As for showing a page in the issue, let me preface this by noting that the art this time around was done by Tony Akins, whereas usually it's done by Cliff Chang. There is a little bit of a difference that's noticeable, but it's not really overly dismaying. But I've actually chosen two this time out, and they actually follow each other in the book when Wonder Woman confronts Poseidon. Mainly I wanted to show both because I felt kind of showing each page by themselves wouldn't really present a well-rounded scope of just how behemoth Poseidon is compared to Wonder Woman. And if you look at these both back to back, you can really see she's like, almost infinitesimal to his size. And as for rating this issue, I'm actually going 3.5 out of 5. I was admittedly dismayed with the sort of difference in storytelling in this particular issue, but suffice to say this is still an enjoyable book, and I really love all the mythology and all these godlike characters that are showing up in the book so far. So that'll pretty much do it for this batch of DC Comics New 52 reviews. I hope you got a kick out of it, and definitely stay tuned as more will be coming. And otherwise, I hope you're doing well. So that'll be it for me, and I'll catch you later. Peace.